Hello. So what we've got here is what I'm calling TRS80MXS, which stands for Multiple Expansion System. It's built around a Teensy, which is like an Arduino clone. If you notice right here, there's an SD card. That SD card has got a bunch of disk images loaded on it for TRS80. For the Model 1. So we've got our 40-year-old Model 1 here. Got the original monitor. And what I'm going to demo here is a little utility that I've written for it to allow us to manipulate the disk images with the TRS-80. This board set also implements audio, color video, joystick support, and memory expansion, as well as the disk drive emulation. So let's go ahead and start it up. And we're in new DOS, and so we've got an emulation of 4 drives here. So if I do a dir 0, I've got my new DOS drive. If I do dir 1, I've got another drive listed there. And so the little utility that I wrote is here in drive 0. It's called TRS80MXS. You can see it right there. And what it does is it gives us, go ahead and clear the screen here, it gives us some utilities to manage those disk images and remount them and so on. So we'll go TRS80MXS, and we'll just hit the enter on that. And here's the list of commands. So basically images with a prefix letter, mount, a drive number, and the image name, and list what's mounted, list mount. So if I clear the screen here and I go TRS80MXS, list mount, list mount. It dumps out, well, it would have dumped out if I had carriage returned there. Let's try that again. There's a few little kind of list mount. A few little bugs to work out there as far as screen and scrolling and so on, but there we go. There's our list of images that are mounted. So right now it's got 4 drives. We've got new DOS mounted in the 0th drive, or the first drive. We've got Arcade 5 listed as the first drive, and so on. So if I want to mount a different one, or actually if I want to see all the disk images that are available that I've got loaded on the micro SD card, I go TRS80 MXS, and I can say images, and it will just dump out all of the images that are on the SD card. So I've got a whole bunch of them. And if I want to just see some of them, because that was obviously a big list, so if I want to just see maybe TRS80 MXS, all the ones, say images, that start with, say, an S, I can do that. Oops. Actually, that's all the ones that contain an S, which is kind of useless since most of them do contain an S. Let's try that again. TRS80 MXS images. We'll list all the ones that have the word arcade in them. And there's all the ones that have arcade in them. So then let's say if I wanted to mount one of those, I could say TRS80 MXS mount. We'll mount it in position 1, and we'll mount arcade 7 there. So I'll say more dash arcade dash 7 dash 80 SSSD-JV1.DSK. And you might notice that I'm using dashes instead of underscores. What it does is it finds the disk image that's closest to the one that you typed, And since there's no easy way to type an underscore on the Model 1, I just use regular dashes and it'll still find it. So I'll go ahead and do that, and it'll pop a message up there real quick that says, okay, I mounted it. So just to make sure, we can go TRS80MXS, and we can say list mount again. And we should see that it did indeed run mount disk 7 there. So if I do a DIR on 1, we can see, okay, there's some arcade games that were on that disk. And of course, to run them, you just run them as if it was a normal floppy drive. So I'll just pick one there, Rally X. Just say Rally X. And there we go. So this one's got pretty fancy animations in it, which is kind of cool. It might even have sound. I don't have anything connected to the sound port on the cassette drive or to the audio for the other sound card yet. But so anyway, you play it that way, and then if you just want to, if you're done, you just want to power down, you can power down. And when you power back up, as long as you have not reset the TRS80MXD or MXS card, it will leave, you'll be in the same spot you were before. So if I do TRS80MXS and I do a list mount, the same images should be listed that were there before, and they are. So that allows you to like use different DOSes and things like that. So I could swap out new DOS and I could mount you know, some other DOS or something that I like. And although I can't just immediately use it, because that would be like changing your DOS disk on a floppy drive setup, you can still power down or reset the TRS-80. When it comes back up, it'll be mounted the way that you want, and the DOS that you want to use will be mounted. So that's kind of a brief tour of the drive emulation capabilities of this open hardware solution that I've got out there. You can go and check it out on GitHub. Build your own if you want. All of the EagleCAD drawings are out there. You're welcome to do that. It's built as a stack of, well, I'll go ahead and disconnect stuff here. I'll show you. It's built as a stack of 3 cards. Pull that out. So it's built as a stack of 3 cards. You can kind of see them right here. Lighting is not great, but it's a stack of 3 cards, and there's our joystick connections and our audio and video connection. The bottom card is where power is distributed, and it also gives us the memory expansion, so it brings you up to 48K on a 16K machine. And there is the drive emulator with the Teensy and the micro SD card. There's also a utility that you can plug in right there on that USB port. You can plug that into a Mac if you've got a Mac, and you can do similar drive mounting and uploading of images and so on as what you saw there on the TRS-80. So like I say, that's a brief overview of the TRS-80MXS card or solution, and I'll probably keep expanding this over time, thinking about putting some wireless networking in there and so on. I think the cool thing is that you can build these individually. So you can build the base board first, the one that does the power distribution, get your memory expansion, and then say maybe you don't want the graphics and sound, you don't have to build that one, you could just build the drive emulation. Just recently got reading and writing both working on the drive emulation. It only works with the what they call the JV1 style disk images, which is the oldest TRS-80 Model 1 disk image. So it doesn't work with like the brand new ones that have come out recently. But that's really not that big of a deal, because usually you can move the newer disk images back to the older style and it'll mount them just fine. Maybe over time I will go ahead and emulate the other drive image formats, but for right now it kind of does what I want, and so maybe somebody else might want to pick up the project at some point and add that kind of capability. So thanks for listening. See you later.